All right, so hi again, everyone, and welcome to the Enhanced AlertAware Features and Functions webinar. My name is Brooke Petrozelli, and I'm a training specialist here at Alertis. And today I'm joined by Sarah Gillum, another training specialist on my team, Dr. Ben Brewer, our Director of Product Management, and Teresa Seco, Business Analyst in Product Management. We will be running through all of the new and improved features and functionalities in AlertAware, and we'll be sure to save time for questions at the end of the presentation. Please note that the Q&A functionality is also available during the session, so feel free to utilize that feature to ask your questions throughout the presentation. The team's contact information will also be available on the last slide, should you wish to follow up with any system-specific questions or needs. So today we are excited to walk you through several key updates and features recently added to AlertAware. Our agenda for the session focuses on four major areas designed to enhance your emergency readiness. First, we will cover our expanded reporting capabilities, which provide deeper insights into your activations and user base. Next, we'll discuss new file import methods that offer greater flexibility for managing your contacts. We will also take a look at the emergency report confirmation process, which helps reduce the risk of false activations. And finally, we will dive into qualify and quit and the custom call flow feature, a powerful combination that optimizes your alert delivery and helps mitigate notification fatigue for your recipients. So let's get started with our first topic, reporting capabilities. The first report that has seen significant updates recently is the users report. As a reminder, users receive mobile push notifications and have access to the AlertAware app. They can also receive SMS, email, and voice calls if your organization is licensed for that feature, but the default modality for users is push notifications. So on this report, we've introduced several new filter options designed to help you gain a much deeper understanding of your current user base. You can now filter by source to see exactly how users have been added to the system, as well as groups, allowing you to quickly view which users belong to specific AlertAware target groups. We've also added a new quick filters view that provides insight into how users have interacted with the AlertAware app. These updates are all about giving administrators better visibility into their user population. I'm now going to hop into the AlertAware application to demonstrate this report. So let me pull that up. As you can see, I'm logged into AlertAware as an owner. So I'm going to go to Manage, and then this is where my users report lives. With my users report up at the top, I get the definition of what a user is. This is going to be able to manage people in my organization who receive that mobile push notification via the AlertAware app. And then if licensed, they can also get email, SMS, and voice calls. You can see that my system has 4 users currently. You can see their name, username, information, and as I scroll over, I can see some more information around created, role, source, etc. As you can see, all 4 of my users have been added via invitation. So if I go to source and I try to look up if anyone has been added via my Enter ID connection, I do not have any users there. Or if they've been added via self-registration portal, I do not have any users there. But if I go to invitation, I can see that these 4 have been added in that way. In addition, I can also see groups. So right now with my 4 users, if I want to sort by group, I can come in here and I can see that for my building 1 group, just my users are in there. Sarah's users are not. I can also sort by multiple groups and see that both of my users are in both of these groups. But as soon as I pull in one of Sarah's groups, so maybe I want to see building 1 for both me and Sarah, there are currently no users in both of those groups. So this is going to sort and tell you which users are in the groups that you have selected. The last filter we have here is quick filters. This is going to be all about the AlertAware app. So the first one is going to be users who have logged on to the web browser and have accepted their invite. So you can see here that all 4 of our users have done so, and users who have not logged in, we don't have any of those. Then we see users who are logged into the mobile app. So right now, both of our reader users are logged into the app, and you can see that with the 1 device. And then you can see that our admin users are not logged in right now. So we have 0 devices. And then you can also see who's opted in and out of push notifications, as well as seeing who's opted in and out of any of the other modalities on this page. You can see also up at the top that there is an invitations tile or a tab where you are able to see if anyone is still pending access to accepting their invite to the AlertAware portal, their role and their confirmation and specific contact information. You can also invite a user here, as well as download all to see this in CSV format. So if I click download all, which will download the users that I have in that quick filter, we will see that once this loads, I will see a success. Your user information has downloaded successfully, and then I'll see it up here. I have one that I pulled up from a download a few days ago just for quick access here so I can show you. But you can see that it has all of the information that we saw on that report. The name, the phone numbers, information for contact, as well as what they have opted in and out of, and any specific source or group information that we see up here at the top. So if you want to view users via this way, then you are able to pull that report directly from AlertAware now. All right, so now moving on from users, we are now going to take a look at the recipient report. So with the recipient report, the key distinction here is that unlike the users we just discussed, recipients do not have access to the AlertAware app itself. They receive they receive alerts exclusively via SMS, email, and voice calls. They do not receive push alerts. So they will not have access to the AlertAware app. They do not have an AlertAware login, nor will they be able to utilize incident and emergency reporting. Please note that your organization requires an additional license to target recipients. So on this report, you can track which recipients have opted in or out of specific communication channels. And for those of you who value the new filter capabilities we just saw on the users report, I'm happy to share that the source and group filters will soon be coming to this page. So if we take a look back in AlertAware now, instead of going to users, I'm going to hop to recipients. Similarly, at the top, it gives you the definition of what a recipient is. These are all contacts who can receive notifications via email, SMS, and voice calls. They do not have access to the mobile app. So you can see what they've opted in or opted out of for the other types of modalities, but you will not be able to send push notifications to these recipients. On the users tab, we had those filters, the source, groups, and quick filters. The source and groups tab will soon be coming to the recipients page, but quick filters will not because that is specific to the app. So on this page right now, you will not see those, but they will be joining soon. You also can see up at the top, there are some buttons to add to group, delete, download, and create. So once again, if I download all, we'll have that report completed here, and I will pull that in up at the top. You can see the name, the information, if any addresses or specific contact information has been added, as well as what has been opted in and out of on this page. All right, the last report that has seen a lot of updates is the activation status report. So we've introduced updates that allow you to distinguish between successful and failed activations at a glance. One of the most significant updates is the ability to view the specific reason for a delivery failure directly within the report, which should simplify your troubleshooting process. Additionally, you now have the ability to download comprehensive activation details directly to your email for further analysis. This used to only exist for our AlertAware dev team, and you would have to reach out to them to get that report, but now you have the ability to download that as well. However, please note that when downloading the report to a CSV, the time zone on that report will be displayed in UTC time zone. So now hopping back in AlertAware, let me show you where that lives. We're going to go under notification, and then that is where I have my activations here. We can see all of the activations that have been sent in reverse chronological order, and you have multiple pages of that as well. As you can see, it gives you a quick snapshot here around status created at what has been targeted. And if I click into the report itself, I'm able to see some more information around what was sent and when, as well as the different delivery status for users and recipients. So here for users, I have all of my information here. If I want to see recipients, I can. However, I did not target, or Sarah did not target recipients in this report. So with the users, I can see that I have a 66% success rate. That means that both users were targeted and 2 out of 3 of the statuses for the modalities that were targeted did activate. However, there is a failure on one of the 3 modalities for both users. And now it's going to give you the information as to why that failure happened. So I'm able to see other failure was 50% and address missing 50%. And if I click into these, I can see Sarah Reader. The voice did fail because all the lines were congested after making 3 attempts. And then for Sarah Gilliam user, I'm able to see push notification failed because the user has not logged into the app yet. So this is giving you exact information around why these failures have gone through. This used to live behind the curtain, like we said, but now as admin and owners, you are able to pull that information yourself to help with any troubleshooting or to get more clarity around your user base. You also have a bunch of different tiles or tabs up here, confirmations. So you can see that we do have 100% confirmation because both of the users did confirm on at least one of the modalities that were targeted. You can see the devices here if you want to see specifically which devices were sent. And then if you are pulling in any integrations such as Alertis, then you'll be able to see that has gone through as well. This report does have the ability to download as well. So if I click download activation, this is going to say that your download is being processed and we'll send you the report via email shortly. So once that goes through, you will see an email that comes in that looks like this. You can click on this report and then download it once again in CSV or XLSX file format, and that will pull up like this. So there are 2 tabs. The first tab is the summary of the report, which gives you once again the information. You can see that the time is in UTC, whereas if I'm back in AlertAware, the time is not. It's in the time zone that you're currently in. So do just note that it is different on the file here. Um, but when I do pull that in, I'm able to see the activation details, the settings, the delivery stats, the confirmation and response stats. And then if I want to see the recipients and the users more specifically, I go to the second tab where you can see all of the users, the delivery methods that I targeted, the targeted address, the success or failure of that, confirmation of that, and then the details and reasons around either the success or the failure. So lots of great information here for our admin to get a further understanding around why the specific statuses are coming in for the activations that they have. All right. So moving on from reports, next we'll be exploring the new file import methods that will soon be available in AlertAware. So we're excited to introduce 3 highly requested new file import methods. When importing users or recipients, you will soon have 3 distinct actions you can take: modify and append, overwrite, or delete. Modify and append will allow you to update any settings for current contacts, as well as add any new contacts on the report or on the import. This is what existed before. You used to only be able to modify and append, where you would update settings of current contacts or add any new ones on that report. But now you have 2 other options: overwrite and delete. So overwrite will completely overwrite your existing contact list. So it will remove everyone that is in there and add anyone and add the full list of everyone that was on that import. And then you also have delete, which will delete the contacts on the file import itself. So if you have 7 contacts on that delete file, it will delete those 7, keeping the remaining contacts there. This update will be released to organizations in a phased rollout over the coming weeks. So if you would like your organization to be prioritized for this rollout, please reach out directly to our support team at support@alertis.com. So once again, let me hop into AlertAware and show you where that lives. We are going to close up notifications and go back down here to manage, where there is a data sync section. So in the data sync section, this is where you can import and manage your organization's users and recipients, manually importing CSVs or syncing them with Entra ID. We're going to live in the manual imports up here. So here I have the user import method, and here is the recipient import method. You can see that the main difference is that with users, you're able to send an account setup email to newly imported users. That's going to give them access to the app. Whereas recipients, you will not be sending that because they do not have access to the app. There is also different download CSV file examples because file must contain different options here. So if I click download a CSV file, if I'm adding users, I'll be able to download that and pull that in and then fill out whatever users I want. Let's say, for example, I want to have a report where I'm going to be deleting users from this specific section. So if I pull that in, I can click on Import CSV file here. I'll have all of the CSVs that I've have the ability to upload in this section. So I can select the one that I want and then click open. And then we will see that once this goes through and is processing, it is going to be added directly to this section right here. So when I have that sample users file here, I would be able to then click import users. And that is where my select import action is going to live. So here I can do modify and append, which once again will update any existing user records with the imported data and add any new users. Once again, that is the current availability to everyone. So that is the only way that you can currently utilize this import method at this time for modify and append. But now there are other options. We can overwrite, which will fully replace your existing users with the new file, or we can do the delete, which will remove the users from the file in AlertAware. So if I wanted to do that, I would click import, and then I would see that's being scheduled and done down here at the bottom. So those new file methods are going to be available for you in the coming weeks, as I mentioned. If you would like to be prioritized for that, then please reach out to support@alertis.com. Next, we're going to take a look at the emergency report confirmation feature. So we have introduced a new optional security feature designed to prevent accidental emergency reports. So if this is enabled by admin, users will now be required to slide to confirm after they press the button to report an emergency. Please note that for the report incident feature, the slide to confirm action will be mandatory. This added step provides an extra layer of verification, ensuring that critical alerts are intentional. So this will require me to share both my web browser and my phone. So let me pull that up now and reshare so you can see everything here. Stop, reshare. Do. All right, can everyone see both my phone and my web browser? Awesome. All right, so in the AlertAware portal, if I go down here to settings, there's going to be a whole section here for incident and emergency reporting. I am currently logged in as an owner, so I have full access to edit these settings in this area. So I can turn on and off incident reporting, two-way chat, emergency reporting, and then this new file or this new tab here is emergency report confirmation required. As you can see, this is currently toggled on, so I am going to have that as the option for my users to have to slide to confirm. I'll also show you the difference between incident report and emergency reporting in my phone as well. So if I pull up my phone, I am now going to log into the AlertAware app as a standard reader. I'm not a full admin in the system. I am just a reader, as you can see up here at the top. So I have the ability to report emergency and report incident. So if I click report incident, I will have these options to select. I can click report. It will ask if I want to allow location or not, if that is not already turned on. And then I have the ability to put in a message, put in location, choose from gallery, add images, and then I would swipe to confirm that this incident needs to be reported. So report incident does allow you to have all of like the ability to add more details to your specific report. However, if I want to report an emergency, this is going to act more so as a panic button. So in the past, as soon as I come to report an emergency page and I click report, that would automatically go through. So if I click report, it would say sent and a report will go through. However, because I now have that confirmation required toggle on, this one right here, emergency report confirmation required, I now will see that I have to swipe to confirm. So if I sent this right now, it would then, I would have to, instead of just selecting it, I would select it, and then I would click swipe to confirm, which would then have success, incident report success. We would see that coming through on my phone. That is an optional feature. So once again, if you want to not have the swipe to confirm on, you can turn that off. Here's my report coming through from Alertis. And then if you do want that swipe to confirm, you would have that toggled on. So up to you all with how you would like to have that set up. If you want that additional layer of I guess, confirmation that would allow or disallow false activations as much as possible, then you would have that. But if you want this to be more of a panic button where people press it and it sends out automatically, also up to you all. So feel free to decide if you would like to have that on, and you would be able to set up those settings there. The next feature that we're going to take a look at is qualify and quit with custom call flow. And Sarah is going to take us through that today. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and throw it over to Sarah to do so.
Awesome. Thank you, Brooke. So I will take over and share my screen. So hopefully you all can see the slides again here. So we will go through this new feature together. And qualify and quit, like Brooke mentioned, is a new feature and it is designed to significantly reduce alert fatigue and also limit activation credit consumption. And qualify and quit is now enabled by default for all newly created activations. And when qualify and quit is enabled and an individual confirms that they have received a notification, the system is going to automatically stop the delivery of any further alert modalities to that individual, preventing unnecessary follow-up messages. So for example, if a user acknowledges that they received a push notification, then the system is going to know to not send them subsequent notifications like a voice call or SMS message for that same alert. And to configure your outreach, you can utilize the custom call flow interface, which allows you to easily drag and drop your preferred alert modalities into the specific delivery sequence that best fits your needs. And additionally, you have full control over the timing for these attempts. You'll just simply use the drop-down menu to select the specific delay intervals that you'd like to have between each step. So the screenshot on the slide that you can see here shows the default custom call flow settings. So in this example, the alertist alert and also the push notification are going to be activated immediately. And then if a user does not confirm receipt of that push notification, the system is going to wait a minute and then send them an email. And then if they do not open or confirm receipt of the email, then they will receive an SMS notification after another 2 minutes. And finally, if they do not confirm the SMS notification, then they'll receive a voice call after another 5 minutes. And when the qualify and quit feature is disabled, you won't be able to modify delay intervals, and all of the selected alert modalities are going to be dispatched instantaneously. And please be aware that all one-touch activations that were created before this qualify and quit feature was released, they have this feature disabled by default. So if you would like to utilize qualify and quit with any of those existing one-touch activations, you'll just simply need to go in and edit them to enable the feature. And so now we're going to take a look at that feature within the AlertAware portal. So I am going to open that up on this other tab here. And I first wanted to start by taking a look at one of my old one-touch activations that I created before this feature was released. So I'm going to visit that just by going into the one-touch section, and let's take a look at my evacuation order alert as an example. And I'm just going to edit that to show you the settings. And it's a general evacuation order. I have it just going out to my accounts. It's active for 2 hours. And then this delivery method section is where the qualify and quit settings live now. So because this was created before qualify and quit was released, you'll see that it is disabled by default. So this is what you'll see if you go to any of your existing one touches and take a look at this section. And you can see that in this example, I have the alert sending out a push notification, an SMS message, a voice call, and it's also going to alert us. And all of those modalities are going to be dispatched instantaneously because qualify and quit is disabled. So I can't edit that right here. You can still edit settings for each modality. For example, if I wanted to make the SMS message shorter to make sure I stay within the 160 character limit, I could do that. But I wanted to start by just activating this alert to show you what happens when you are not using qualify and quit, and then we'll create a new activation together that does use that feature. but I'll go ahead and press activate to confirm the activation. It'll tell me that it was successful. And then I will also be able to pull up my phone. Here's the voice call coming in immediately that I can put on speaker for you. And then we'll be able to hear the message coming in.
And evacuation
There's the desktop alert as well.
This is a message from AlertAware training team. An evacuation order is currently in effect for Building 1. Please proceed to the nearest exit and follow evacuation instructions.
So that is the voice call. And if I end that, you can see that while the voice call was coming in, I did also instantaneously get the push notification, and I did also instantaneously get the text message as well. So it sent me everything. And that might be what you want to happen if you do have a really big emergency that you want to make sure everyone is notified about as soon as possible. You can continue to have it work that way. But the qualify and quit feature gives you the ability to control when each of those modalities are delivered so that you're not always bombarding people with everything at once. So we're going to take a look at how to set that up. If I go back to the home page here, I'm just going to create a new custom activation as an example, and we'll just make one for a system test. I'll just make the notification say this is a test. And I'm going to keep it simple, so I'm not going to attach any files or add any prompts. I will just hit next. And for my recipients or my users, just for an example, again, I'm just going to send it to my reader account. And then I will still allow confirmations. I'll hit next. I'll just have it be going for an hour and then hit next. And then here's where we can see the qualify and quit settings. So again, by default, because this is a new activation, we are going to have qualify and quit turned on. And then I'll be able to see all of the modalities that I am able to send. Maybe for this example, I'm not interested in activating Alertus. Maybe I don't need to send an email as well. I'll just stick with push notification, SMS, and voice. I could change the order of these. Maybe if I wanted voice to come before SMS, I could adjust that, but I'll just leave it like this for now. And then I can also change the delay intervals. So the first notification modality that you are dispatching is always going to go instantaneously as soon as the alert is activated. But then you get to decide how long the system waits before it reaches out again. So just so that we don't have to sit for too long, I'm going to change it from the default settings to just have a 1 minute delay before the SMS is sent. And then I'm just going to have the system wait 1 more minute before finally sending out the voice call. So I think this looks good for the settings that I want. Again, I could click in to edit the messages or any other settings for each modality here, but I'm ready to activate this. So I will go ahead and press activate and confirm. So then it will tell me that was successful, and we will be able to see those notifications coming in. So I'm going to pull up my phone again so that you can see it here, and I'll wake it up. So you can see instantaneously I did get that push notification. It came in right away. It was the first one that was delivered as soon as the notification was sent out. And if I see this, I could open up the push notification, confirm it, and then the system is going to know that I read it. It's going to know that it doesn't need to send me anything else. But let's say maybe I'm not looking at my phone. I don't see the notification coming in. Maybe I just swipe it away without reading it. Because I did not confirm the push notification, once we have waited a full minute, we will be able to see the text notification coming in as well. So I'll make sure that I have that where I can pull up for you all once it comes in. There we go. I did get it there. So I can pull up my text message. Let me bring my phone back here. So we can see I did just get that text come in a minute later where it says this is a test here. I can see the time that it was delivered, which was 1 minute after the activation was sent. So let's say I do get this text message, I see it, I'm going to click the link in the text message to bring me to the link where I am able to confirm receipt of that message. I could enter a comment since I have that turned on, but once I do press that confirm button to confirm that I've read the text, the system is going to recognize that I have seen the message. And because of that, the system is going to know that I don't need to get the voice call as well. So we could keep waiting forever, and I'm not going to get that voice call sent to this contact because they did already confirm that text message that was sent previously. And then I do lastly just want to take a look at some of the reporting information that you will see if you are using the qualify and quit feature. So I'm just going to go into the activation report for that test activation that I just sent, and I'm going to click on the status to get some more details. And I can see here I sent it to my reader account with that push, the SMS, and also the voice call. And I'm able to see that I had a success rate of 66.7%, and I had a failure rate of about 33%. So 2 out of the 3 were successful. And if I do click onto my account here to get some more information, I can see what we saw demonstrated that both the push notification and the text message were successfully delivered to my phone. But because I did confirm that I read the text message, I'll be able to see that the voice call technically registers as a failure, which let me know that it wasn't actually delivered. But I can see in the details here that the reason it wasn't delivered was because the user had already received a message from another delivery method. So this is what you should be expecting to see if you are using that qualify and quit feature, and this will help you keep track of the different activation credits and the different modalities that are actually being sent out and delivered. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead back to the slides here, and I am going to pass it over to Dr. Ben Brewer, who is going to share some updates with us around SMS truncation limits and customization, also some recommendations for mobile application uncommanded logouts, and then Ben is also going to share some information about the new AlertAware desktop notification beta testing that's going to be available soon.
Alrighty, thank you, Sarah. It's good to be in front of you all again. I know I've had the opportunity to meet with many of you over the course of the past 3 years or so, and we definitely welcome the opportunity to be able to share some of the feature enhancements that Sarah and Brooke discussed with you today. I'm really here to just kind of reemphasize some best practices and some existing capability limitations within AlertAware. And the first one is really specific to SMS messaging. And Sarah touched upon this as she was going through her slides and demonstrating the qualify and quit and the custom call flow perspective. One of the strengths of AlertAware is that any of our customers have the ability to customize the alert content specific to each of the 4 core modalities that are currently present within the system. So you can start off with an initial notification content, and then in the event that you want to embellish upon that content further for email or push notifications, you can actually customize it at that level, or you could have it at that core baseline notification content level when you're creating a custom activation or a one-touch template, and then further customize based on those modalities where you might want the notification content to be a little bit more accurate, brief, and concise. SMS is one of those notification modalities that is really, when it comes to character limitations, is beyond AlertAware's control. It's beyond any distributed recipient mass notification systems control to influence, because the 160 character limit is an industry standard when it does come to SMS messaging. AlertAware has implemented the 160 character limit hard basically over the last 17 months or so. But what I've seen in working closely with some of our customers is that oftentimes either the activation approach or the situation is not driving the using organization to take a look at the SMS message itself. Is it going out in its entirety, or is it being truncated at a point to where it just builds ambiguity into the alert that is presented to the end user? So we did want to take the opportunity today to just reemphasize that when you are initiating these alerts, and one of the biggest areas where we've seen a strong degree of deviation is severe weather alerting, especially if it's being initiated via Alertus. But we need to make sure that we share with you all and just reemphasize the fact that SMS full truncation is at 160 characters, and that is inclusive of a confirmation link. So in the event that you are requesting a confirmation, or you're including a poll, or you're including an attachment that would be downloaded by the recipient, that link that is going to be at the tail end of the SMS message that the recipient will click on, that link will actually serve as a portion of that 160 character limit. Now, looking within industry best practice is when a confirmation link is included, look at 120 characters for your core messaging or less. And that's what I've got represented up on the screen. Oftentimes, when it comes to severe weather alerting, some of the customers that I've worked with will include the type of alert, such as a tornado warning is in effect, seek shelter, in a isolated indoor location, and then refer to some other type of, perhaps it's email, perhaps it is a desktop notification for further information. So we just wanted to call out that, in today's current build for AlertAware, if you are including an activation or a confirmation link, those links typically tend to range between 31 and 40 characters in length. So it's right in line with that 120 character rule. Now, from a future development perspective, we do have a requirement that we will be developing against in the coming quarter to quarter and a half, that is actually going to implement a tiny URL as a confirmation link, and it will provide you guys with a consistent end user experience. The tiny link or the tiny URL approach that we are implementing will represent a 20 character confirmation link very uniformly across all of your messaging, meaning that you will have 140 characters that you can work with. And we will, of course, be updating the knowledge base specific to SMS as that becomes available. And hopefully it will coincide with another webinar so that we have the opportunity to share that information with you. As with all of our alerting modalities, I'd say with the exception of the voice call, you do have the ability, as you customize your SMS content. First and foremost, as Sarah pointed out, the character counter is going to give you a very accurate representation of the number of characters and spaces that you've consumed. Again, recommending that you stay at 120 or fewer if you're including a confirmation link, but you can always click on the appropriate Android or iOS preview links down at the bottom of that window, as you see depicted in the blue buttons. Next slide, please, Sarah. All right. The next aspect, or the next issue that I wanted to talk about is specific to the AlertAware mobile app uncommanded logout that continues to occur with many of our organizations and a smaller subsection of users. Some organizations are affected a little bit more deeply than others, just based upon their system usage over the preceding months. Initially, back in April, for those of you who had an opportunity to take a look at the knowledge base or the product advisory that we put out on the 3rd of April, we did notice something within the AlertAware code that we could further optimize to help reduce the impact of uncommanded logout. However, what we found in the coming months was that the majority of the small subsection of users or readers that were being logged out of the AlertAware mobile app were being logged out because of the way that their mobile phone, whether it was an iOS phone or an Android phone, was treating what they call an idle app within the platform. Now, each of the platforms, iOS and Android, treat idle apps a little bit differently, and we've updated the product advisory to provide you with more information and the actual step-by-step process to help mitigate the potential for AlertAware to be identified as an idle app and either be offloaded if you're using an iOS phone or be placed in a state of hibernation if you're using an Android device. So, with regard to the iOS phones, unfortunately, you can't select a specific application and exempt it from being offloaded. Instead, you have to work around that situation by creating a shortcut. And it's definitely a little bit, it's a three-step process, but it's a little bit more complex than what I have highlighted on the slide there. But you would create a shortcut that would every week, every other week, but at some sort of shorter cadence, it would command your mobile phone to actually more or less open AlertAware to make sure that it doesn't get highlighted as an app that is otherwise idle and then be offloaded. So within the iOS structure, a lot of us, I know myself, I definitely want any unused apps offloaded so that I can preserve my disk space for other critical things like my music. And that's not necessarily a bad approach. But when it does come to the critical applications, such as AlertAware, for organizations that are not actively testing push notification on a monthly basis, there is a very strong likelihood that mobile app users and the mobile app itself may be deemed or identified as idle and therefore offloaded within iOS. So what you'll see in the updated product advisory that we published in the knowledge base are the step-by-step recommendations to actually build up a shortcut that will more or less just kind of ping the AlertAware mobile app and make sure that it is not identified as being idle. Now, within Android platforms, there's a lot more capability. You do have the ability to apply per app whitelisting or permit listing, and you'll have the ability to select the AlertAware mobile app and actually toggle off the manage app if unused button within the platform. And obviously on Android devices, the user experience specific to settings can vary somewhat. So if you're working through the steps as we've got them published within the product advisory and you see a deviation that's specific to a certain manufacturer and model and perhaps an Android OS version, please don't hesitate to let us know. We'd love to be able to caveat that further to make that knowledge base a little bit more useful to you all. All right, thanks, Sarah. Next slide, please. Now for the fun part. We, over the past several months, we've been working on an AlertAware desktop notification capability as an additional alerting modality within AlertAware. And we've wanted to undertake this for our customers that are utilizing both AlertAware and Alertus, but really have kind of a refined or limited Alertus use case specific to desktop only, to give you the opportunity in the event that you want to collapse down to a single platform. You'll have the ability to consider doing so once we actually fully release the AlertAware desktop notification client in the coming quarters. Where we're at today, and Teresa and I actually conducted a limited customer study to sit down with our initial core requirements for the AlertAware desktop notification client and see where we might have some gaps. Ultimately, our approach to desktop notification is to replicate as closely as possible the user experience that our mobile app users experience. And what I mean by that is that we want you to be able to receive the alert. And if you're an owner, you're going to have enhanced capabilities via this desktop notification client by just switching the view. But if you are limited, if you're a reader, which obviously none of you are, but your readers will also have the ability to kind of switch over, manage their data. As far as their contact information, they'll have the ability to initiate incident and emergency reports if those are active within your organization. They'll be able to engage with two-way chat. You'll be able to publish and have your recipients respond to polling questions. Basically, everything that you can currently do within the AlertAware mobile app is going to be replicated within the AlertAware desktop notification client. It's merely we're basically just changing the view. So with regard to the desktop notification capability, we're through our second phase or very close to completing our second phase of development. There still's another phase to go before we consider actually going live in a full production environment and productizing the solution. But we do want to expose the opportunity to beta test this feature and functionality if you're interested. Currently, what you see on the screen right now is a representation of the light mode. We currently support a light and a dark theme within the Alertus desktop or the AlertAware desktop notification client. Customization is not yet fully evident within the product. That's really what we're addressing in phase 3, along with some other further refinements. But you currently, as a part of the beta, you'll be able to test out full screen, small screen, which is typically central location on the pop-up, but you have the ability to move it very similar to what you can do in Alertus, as well as a scrolling ticker. And AlertAware has also got a really cool, in Ben's opinion, streaming video template that we would encourage you to play with. But if you are interested in participating in a beta test opportunity, we will be running a limited beta for approximately 45 to 60 days with the primary objective to see just how easy and how consistently customers can roll out the AlertAware desktop notification client, and then obviously collect feedback from you all on how we can further improve upon the capability before we go live for our entire customer base. If you are interested in participating in the beta opportunity, please send me an email. If you don't, if for some reason you misplace my email and you want to get in front of me and register to be a part of the beta test, don't hesitate to send an email to support at AlertAware or at Alertus, I'm sorry, support at alertus.com, and the support team will get that information over to me. So with that kind of wraps up my comments, and I'll kick it back over to Sarah and Brooke.
Let me unmute myself, but thank you, Ben. So for the last part of the webinar today, we've concluded our overview of the AlertAware enhancements, and we want to open up the floor to answer any questions that you all have. So please feel free to type your questions into the Q&A box so we can address them live. And whether you have any questions about reporting capabilities, file import methods, emergency report confirmation, or configuring custom call flows, we are here to help. And if you think of any additional questions after we conclude today's session, or if you have any specific system needs that you'd like to discuss, please refer to the contact information here, both for the support team and also the training team. So thank you all for joining us, and hopefully you have found the session valuable. And let's see, I do think we have a couple of questions in the Q&A box that I can read out for us. I do see there are a few questions about the automatic logout, specifically how long is considered idle for iOS and for Android, and would doing a silent test monthly help eliminate the iOS logout issue?
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and take those, Sarah. With regard to Walter's question, he's asking more specifically for both iOS and Android. iOS is based on the research that we've been able to do. The idle time designation is really driven based upon the mobile device's capacity, its hard drive capacity, and the manner in which the end user is utilizing the device. Not really helpful to any of us because all of us have, various usage patterns. As I mentioned when I was talking about my own situation, I listen to a lot of music on my, via my smartphone. I would argue that I use it more for music than probably anything else, and I download an awful lot of music. So my mobile phone is very aggressive in identifying even applications like my banking applications, which I access. I'd say probably 2 to 3 times a month as idle and offloading them. So it can get very aggressive, but again, it all gets back to the end users' utilizations patterns and how they're using their mobile device. On the Android side, it was pretty much the same thing. However, some of the manufacturers, Samsung, for example, does have some pretty well-defined logic that they put in place. So when you're communicating with your end users, as part of your education and awareness programs. This is just something that I think if I were still out in the field, I would probably have the discussion and encourage them to make sure that they study up on their mobile device and exactly, have that understanding, number one, of how they have it configured. And then number two, what are you seeing with regard to the way that your mobile device and the current operating system that's in place, how is that influencing that idle application offloading or hibernation process? So there's one of those. I hate those types of answers. It's just it's a huge. It depends, but ultimately the the options that we provide and that I discuss, when you share those with your stakeholders, you're definitely giving them the power to be able to take control of that to ensure that those critical alerts still have the ability to get into the device.
Mhm. And then there was another question about the logout. It says, is the logging out of the app, is it just logging out of the app or offloading the app/data so you would need to re-download the app?
Yeah, normally, Tim, when a when an app is offloaded, unless the credentials have been saved locally, and honestly, even if they have been saved locally, you're still going to have to log back into the app. And that's the bad part of it, especially on the iOS side. On the iOS side, when it offloads the app, you still have the little visual toast on your screen that the app is there, but you're going to have to re-download it again. And as soon as soon as the app has been purged from the system and then reinstalled, it's broken that token, that security token. So the individuals are going to have to log back in on that device. So, hibernation, we're actually exploring an option right now to where um, when an app gets into hibernation on an Android device, it takes it a second to kind of get its bearings. Think about a bear coming out of its den after winter hibernation. And if the first thing that you try to do when this proverbial bear wakes up is pulse it for its security token, the Android phone, the app is just not at that state to where it can do a handshake with the token, so it will force an uncommanded log out at that point. We are looking at some logic that we may be able to build into the mobile app on the Android side that will give it somewhat of a scripted wake up, so that instead of looking for that token as soon as you touch the AlertAware icon on the screen on your Android device, it will actually hesitate for a period of time. It could be very, very short in human terms before we look for that token. We expect to know a little bit more. We're doing some testing and some data collection with some of the customers that we've been very actively involved with to better understand what we can help to influence in that regard if the end user hasn't taken the steps to identify the app as something that should not be placed in hibernation.
Mhm.
Also see a couple of desktop notification, and it looks like the first one is asking if AlertAware desktop notification can replace Alertus. Ultimately, absolutely. This is the directive that I've been given by our CEOs is to make sure that it is like for like capability. Now, the one thing that I would say is that AlertAware is going to have more capability. AlertAware desktop is going to have more capability than we can currently build into the Alertus desktop notification client because of the environments. It's all about the way that they operate. Alertus is in a polling capacity. AlertAware is in a push capacity. Being in that push capacity gives the AlertAware desktop an advantage when it comes to polling, streaming video, when it comes to both Alertus and AlertAware will have the panic button functionality. We just call it something a little bit different. But with AlertAware, you're going to have that two-way chat for any incidents or emergencies that are enabled where two-way chat is enabled. So, obviously my decision or my answer to you would be that it would depend upon your assessment of the AlertAware desktop notification capability. But we definitely designed it to for customers that want to replace the Alertus desktop notification client, which I absolutely love. We want to give you the option to make that decision, whatever works best for you, to have the ability to make that informed decision. The other one specific to desktop functionality is asking if it will include the planned enhancements to specify certain groups that get emergency and incident reports. Yeah, so I think what that question is getting to is within AlertAware for larger enterprises, the incident and emergency reporting can be somewhat problematic because um, without the Teams functionality, anybody who is in the system as an owner or an administrator is going to receive that incident or emergency report. And in larger enterprises, that's very problematic. K through 12s is something that it presents a pain point, because administrators perhaps over at the elementary school are receiving incident and emergency reports that may or may not be relevant to them from other schools. And we want to be able to give you guys a solution that mitigates the alert fatigue, right? Alert fatigue is really a two-way street. We always worry about over alerting your end recipients and getting them to a point to where they're like, enough, I'm going to unsubscribe. I'm sick and tired of receiving emails and voice calls after I've already acknowledged a push notification or an SMS alert. We want to be able to do that for your owners and administrators as well. So we do have a feature that it was initially rolled out as a part of our lone worker solution. And for those of you who didn't have the opportunity to attend the webinar on the Bluetooth enabled personal address badge that pairs with the AlertAware mobile app, this is precisely where we implement what we call teams to help mitigate that incident and emergency reporting fatigue. So that will get better over time. We are looking for opportunities to expose these capabilities further to you all to make sure that your reporting and your incident reporting, can really, really be use case specific and optimized to your various organizational structures. All right. So I think I don't see anything else new in there, but I'll turn it back over to Sarah and Brooke.
Awesome. That sounds good. I do see a clarification. So if we disable offload used apps, staff should stay logged into the app. And yes, the disabling that feature would prevent the automatic cleanup of unused apps. So that is a way to avoid that option. So perfect. But yeah, I think that is all of the questions that I see in the chat. I know we're a minute over our end time here, so I want to be mindful of everyone's time. But we, again, thank you all for attending, and hopefully you found the information in this session helpful. And if you have some time to process it and you think of some additional questions, please feel free to reach out to the training team at trainingteam@alertus.com, the email here. And then you can also call the support team or send them an email as well if you do have any additional system specific questions or if you're interested in trying out some new features. But yeah, Brooke, would you like to say anything? I saw you
Nope,
on
that's all. Thank you so
mute.
much. I hope everyone has a good rest of your day. Thank you, Ben and Teresa, for joining us as well. And the recording will be sent out in the coming days.
Yes, you should get an email with the recording once it has time to process, so that should be coming soon. But awesome. Well, thank you all. Have a great rest of your day and take care.
Bye.